who is joining. Welcome to this exciting week of Derby. It's being reinterpreted as we very speak. It does have impacts on everyone's schedule, whether they participate or not. So let's start off this morning and let's do self-introductions. Amy, I'll start with you because you've got the control panel and you can go down the list.
Okay, thank you, Aaron, and good morning, everyone. And if I could ask everyone to mute their mics except for the person who's speaking, that would help a lot. My name is Amy Foos-Kapoor, and I help with the administrative things like website and press releases and running the Zoom. And I'm happy to be here today. And we'll just go down the list and introduce everyone. How about Rhonda? How about you introduce yourself next?
Yes, ma'am. Sorry, it takes me a minute to unmute. So I'm Rhonda. I'm with Anytime Waste, where if I'm not your garbage lady, I want to be. I had fun with you guys on Saturday in the rain, picking up trash. And the most unusual item we picked up was a full diaper. Welcome. Hey, good morning, everybody.
Okay, thanks. Cassie, would you like to introduce yourself next?
Sure, yeah. I am Cassie Chambers Armstrong. I'm the Metro Council representative for District 8. Just want to say what an awesome job you all did organizing all the Mid-City folks and turning out and getting a lot of folks to clean up the corridor. It looked awesome on Sunday afternoon. And so really glad to be able to partner with y'all and get the Highlands looking good for springtime.
Thank you, Cassie. Next is Nick Morris.
Good morning, Nick Morris, owner of the Safety and Security Store, and also Highland Commerce board member. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks, Nick. Okay, up next is Victor.
Good morning, everyone. Victor Rowe. I'm with PNC Bank at the corner of Bardstown Road and Longest.
Okay, thank you. Next is John Straub.
Good morning, everyone. I'm John Straub with the Better Business Bureau. And first of all, congratulations to the Highland Business Guild for being a new BBB accredited business association. So good job. We're looking forward to working with you and building a stronger community that creates a fair and equitable and honest marketplace in this Louisville area. So welcome aboard. We could use every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Next is Gina.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Gina Nobles, owner of PG&J's Dog Park Bar. So I'm a new business in the Highlands and a new member of the Highlands Commerce. So good morning and thank you for having me.
Thank you, Gina. Next is George.
Yes, good morning, everybody. My name is George Eklund. I work with the Coalition of the Homeless as their Education Advocacy Director. So I'm happy to be here and get to meet you all.
Okay, thank you, George. Up next is Nancy.
Hi, good morning. I'm Nancy Chazen. I'm the Executive Director of National Council of Jewish Women here in Louisville. We own and operate the Nearly New Shop in Mid-City Mall. And I'm also a happy Highlands Commerce Guild board member.
Thanks, Nancy. Next is Karen.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Derby Week. Karen Finlinson with Park Community Credit Union Business Development Officer and former Highland Commerce Guild board member. So glad to be here. Good to see everyone. Thanks, Amy.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next is Mark Abrams.
Mark.
There we go. I had to unmute. Good morning. Okay? I'm Mark Abrams. I'm the treasurer of the Highland Commerce Guild. I see y'all.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Up next is Tim Meyer.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I am over at Highland Middle School, and we have students back in the building today and in the past couple of weeks. So every day is a new adventure, figuring out what and how to do. So it's good to be back with you all and see some familiar, friendly faces.
Thank you. And next is Troy Burden.
Good morning, I'm Troy Burden. I serve as the Executive Director of Highlands Community Ministries.
Okay, thanks. And next is Tom Safura. Can you hear us, Tom?
Yes, this is Tom Safura with the Highlands Publishing Company, which produces the Highlands Map and the Coffee News, and also a Commerce Guild board member. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Tom. Next is Deanna.
Good morning. I'm Deanna O'Daniel. Can you hear me? I think I have it off mute. I'm the owner of, good morning, Self-Seek Hypnosis, and welcome everybody. It's so good to see everyone.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. And up next is Julie. Julie, can you hear us?
Yes, am I off mute?
Yes, you're off mute.
Hi, everyone. It's nice to meet everyone. My name's Julie, and I am the managing partner at PG&J's Dog Park Bar.
Thank you, Julie. And I'm not seeing the name on the next one. It's 417 phone number. If you could please introduce yourself.
My name is Larry Williams, and I am a trustee of the Cherokee Triangle Association.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Larry. I think that's everyone, Aaron.
Did Deborah check in?
Hey,
You
I'm
didn't
trying.
think I was paying attention?
Sorry. Oh. Sorry. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, sorry. I'm on a new iPad and I'm totally stupid. Deborah Harlan. I'm, I don't know, Goddess Emeritus of the Bardstown Road Overlay, member of the Bonnie Castle Neighborhood Association and Board, and I run a little design business called Local Color because that's what I do. So
wonderful. Is everybody checked in? All right, wonderful. Aaron Givhan, Highlands Commerce Guild, and I do real estate full-time, commercial, residential, Givhan and Mitchell Realtors. I cannot thank you all enough. I'm in great gratitude. The cleanup, I never got more into a cleanup until this past one. This is the first time that we coordinated with the neighborhood association, with Cassie, and we were so lucky to get high-level participation from all three.
I'm sorry, I was in the middle of introducing myself to the board.
Let's see here. Somebody needs to mute. I'm not sure who it is.
For a while, and then I'm going to go for a walk.
Hello.
The moderator can mute everyone.
Okay, Cassie, go after him.
I think, I think everyone's muted now, Aaron, including you. I think Amy turned us all off. So Aaron, I think you'll have to turn your mic back on. Can you all hear me? Yeah. Okay. Aaron, I think, yeah, you're going to have to, Amy, shut us all down. Yeah.
To mute or not to mute? That is the question. But truly thankful for the different organizations and groups that joined in. And I agree with Cassie. The area was looking a lot better just because of all the efforts. Moving in forward, Major Grissom was called this morning on a derby duty. He asked me to convey to you all 3 specific points. And it never ceases to me how many times you hear common sense, it have to be reintroduced. There were 16 cars stolen. All 16 cars were unlocked and they actually had the fobs in them. Now, I know it's one way to start your day. Mute, unmute, fob, no fob. Please try to have reminders to family and friends. There are people who will take a car if it's easy. They'll take a car if it's not. But 16 out of 16, the major just couldn't understand that the consistency. Also, your outbuildings, locking garages and your storage buildings, they're being hit right now, and that you need to secure your doors in the alleys, secure your little sheds because of lawnmowers. And again, people think, I don't have to lock anything. Well, Major Grissom differs. They have had a new focus in trying to target the loud cars and motorcycles that we have been plagued with up and down Bardstown Road. They've been focusing more on their speeding, and they have tightened up quite a bit in the sense of drunk driving, and that due to the noise factor, they're paying more attention to their speed. And they've actually, more of this has been south of Douglas because there's fewer stop lights, but they have picked up an additional level or increasing the numbers of drunk driver arrests. And of course, they found a lot of paraphernalia along the way. But this abatement program that they're doing based on noise is a different focus. And some of the technology that they're using is being used in other departments in targeting where the noise motorcycles and the cars, they'll be able to do some pinging in technology along with noise. I know it sounds crazy, but there is a crackdown going on. And he said from the meeting, several people mentioned in past meetings. I know that Cassie has a time limit today because of the demands of her job. And so I look forward for her to give us some updates on what she's been doing.
Yeah, so I'm happy to, in general, answer any questions that folks have. I will say one thing that you all might notice is there's some pretty significant work being done on Bardstown Road and Baxter right now. So they just restriped Bardstown Road Monday into yesterday. And so the striping looks nice to me, but if you all notice any problems, please let me know. I'll reach out to KYTC if there's anything that is off, any issues, any sort of problems with that. Same thing with Baxter. They're working to repave it. It should look really nice once they're done. There's a plan to restripe it. They're doing some crosswalks. They're actually, for the first time, this is really exciting, going to be putting some of those yield to pedestrian signs in the crosswalks there, those yellow ones. Which, I think will hopefully do some traffic calming, exciting stuff. Also, I'm about to launch a project into the summer around walkability and pedestrian accessibility in the district. And so the idea being, Bardstown Road is one of the least safe roads. We've, Aaron did a nice job talking about some of the ongoing noise issues and speeding and all of this stuff. And so we're going to do this campaign around what makes the built environment accessible for pedestrians. And I've set aside some money to do one pilot project crosswalk improvement. And so I'm going to be asking the community which crosswalk they think along Bardstown Road needs improvements. We're going to do almost like a participatory sort of community-led design around educating folks about the different ways you can improve crosswalks, from having signals to having, I'm really hoping that maybe someone will let me do some public art painted crosswalks, but I don't know that Public Works is going to sign off on it. But a real sort of educational session around sort of crosswalks, the cost associated with pedestrian friendly measures, what those look like, and really setting aside money to do what the community says that they want to see done along Bardstown Road. So I hope that you guys will participate in the survey, participate in the process. push it out, sort of, you all are the eyes on the ground every day. You see the areas that are the least safe. And so hopefully we can all work together to sort of build out a list of priorities and actually start making some headway on it. About to start the budget process. So that is going to move pretty quickly. Always want to hear from you guys about things that you prioritize, things we should be pushing for more funding for. And similarly, anytime you see any issues in the neighborhood, in the district, I hope you'll be in touch. In terms of what we've been doing a lot of sort of virtual community meetings. George joined us for one around sort of how to sort of support people who are unhoused, what the resources are, how you actually get someone connected to services, what happens once you make that call to help connect someone to services. And so we have a recording of that on our Facebook page if anyone's interested in watching that in hindsight. Lots of ongoing conversations about cars in the park. We had a community meeting about that. We've had lots of community meetings about that. Happy to answer any questions about timeline, decision, anything as far as I know. It is a Parks Department decision, but I'm talking to them a lot about sort of where their head is on that. So I'll stop jabbering and take any questions anyone has.
So Cassie, I got one. When are they going to make the decision about Cherokee Park? When is that going to be made?
I am shocked it hasn't already been made. I thought it would have been made last week. So I will tell you that the sense that I get is that the plan that they had sort of unveiled around reopening Hogan's Fountain and leaving the backside of the loop restricted to vehicles got a lot of pushback. And I think they are thinking of ways to move to more of an alternating day type schedule where, it might be open to vehicles some days, closed to vehicles other days. And that sort of, and so I think they're looking at, what data do we need to make sure that we would be able to do something like that safely. Of course, if you're changing when vehicles are or aren't in areas, there are more concerns around, if people aren't expecting cars to be there, it just creates different types of issues. So I think that they're really trying to look at other types of compromise solutions, and it is taking longer than I think anyone had anticipated, just because, quite frankly, the community has been really good at being like, here are 19 million things that you all aren't thinking about, which is exactly what everyone wants. But then when people say, here are 19 million things you're not thinking about, it takes some time to then work through all of those and see like, okay, well, yeah, we didn't think about that. So what can we do to address that? So I would say I would be shocked if there was not a decision next week. But I'm shocked sometimes,
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from anyone? All right, I will again put my email address and my cell phone in the chat, and y'all know that if you encounter any issues at all, text is always the best way to reach me because often I'm in back-to-back meetings and I see text. So text me, call me, send me emails. We're around. Nice to be with y'all, and I'll be around till a couple minutes after 9. I have a 9 o'clock that I have to get on, but thank y'all for having me as always. And thanks again I thought it was a really awesome cleanup and I had a lot of fun with you guys.
Aaron, you're on mute again.
Hi. One of the things that we have worked on in the past, and one of the topics was the business community and working with the homeless. And so in recent times, that discussion came back up. So with the Coalition of the Homeless, George is joining us today to give us an overview and some suggestions in dealing with a community issue. George, come on down.
Yeah, so hey friends, my name is George Eklund. I work as the Education and Advocacy Director for the Coalition for the Homeless. We are, for those of you who don't know, we're an umbrella organization that does a lot of the coordination of services around homeless services. We do a lot of the public education and we do a lot of the advocacy work here in town. It's very, we forget that homelessness comes in a lot of shapes and sizes and forms. And I see Tim, who's a Frisky with Highland Middle here. And so I'm sure that he has a different idea of what homelessness is when it comes to young people. The fact is that we need more affordable housing in town. We need more options for people to move into, especially for those that are at 30% AMI. So when I say 30% AMI, that means that is $20,000 or less a year that people are making and living off of. That's the biggest gap on the housing options that we need. All the housing that's being built is being built at the top of the market. And to address that, like, I think there's a constellation of policies and initiatives that need to take place. One is we need to take a look at our land development code. So half of the county is zoned R4, which is the largest lot size, the least density allowed in the community. And that's half of our county, that is what it's zoned for. That drives up the cost of building houses. It it eliminates the possibility of having multifamily or like duplexes or triplexes. So that's a big thing. Funding the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. There's a lot of other things that can help us get to a place where we're doing bricks and sticks, building more housing units. That all, I kind of usually use the idea that homelessness is a cascade of different levels. And the people that we see that are sleeping out are the tip of the iceberg. Those are the people that have fallen through the cracks the most. We have substance use disorder in every zip code. We have mental illness in every zip code. We have domestic violence in every zip code. The fact is that some people don't have the resources or the network to navigate those obstacles successfully. And that's when somebody falls out of the housing market, they lose their housing. And sometimes the best option is to sleep out or to panhandle, just because they're trying to get to the next day. They're trying to survive in advance to the next day. We do a number of things with the shelters and the outreach teams here in town. We do a lot of the coordination. So there's a database. These are just nuts and bolts that I think you all should just know about. So there's something called HMIS. So anybody who ever interacts with the homeless service ecosystem is in HMIS. It's just a database where we can see so-and-so went to St. John's one day, they stayed at Salvation Army the next, and we can kind of see their journey. And that helps us expedite the conversations with them. So we're not always starting from scratch with as a person who comes into a shelter or with an agency. There is also a common assessment team. So the best way to get somebody off the street is through a voucher. So a housing voucher kind of acts like Section 8. It is a way that somebody can go and use that voucher to get into housing. The voucher pays the rent of whatever that landlord is asking. And everybody who is sleeping out is assessed once a year by the common assessment team. And it's a 16-question questionnaire where it just kind of assesses risk and vulnerability. So it combines things of how long have you been homeless? Do you have any other comorbidity or co-issues, social determinants of health, of substance use disorder, mental illness, and that prioritize somebody to get a voucher. The other thing that we have with the coalition is we do put out a street tips book. So it just is a one book index of all the resources that somebody might use here in town. I think we can talk about ways to support. I think advocating for more affordable housing, advocating for more options for people to get into housing. That's a big thing. I think treating people with respect, just remembering that they being intentional with our language. So remembering that they are people first. So I usually say somebody unsheltered, somebody experiencing homelessness. I try not to go down the rabbit hole of the more derogatory terms. It's just a lot of power that we take away from people. But I wanted to kind of get your all's feedback of what are things that the business community needs from us. And I have an idea that I've been kicking around in my head of producing some sort of one-page guide for business owners on corridors like Bardstown Road or Preston Highway, or this is not like an isolated conversation that's taking place. And I have an example in the chat of something that happened in Washington, as just like a PDF that could be at like a register. It could be with businesses just at the front desk. If somebody happens to come in looking for assistance, just like guides of how to like get that person into a good spot. So I kind of wanted to hear from you, like, what are things that you see? What are concerns that you have? What are questions that you're like, I don't know how to deal with this situation? And we can just have a quick conversation. Aaron, how much time do I have? I don't want to like dominate the conversation.
Well, Amy is the controller of all time. We generally hope for a 10 minutes ish and then some question.
Okay. So Amy, you just like get the sheep hook and pull me off the screen whenever you're ready for me to like stop talking.
Okay, I'll just message you when it's
cool.
Wrap up. Thanks.
Right. Jean, I see you have your name there, or your hand up. Yeah.
Yes, I typically will raise my hand. So again, I'm with PG&J's Dog Park Bar. And so we're a new business to the Highlands. I'm not new to the Highlands, but it's a new business. And we're right there on that corner where the old Bader's, that abandoned gas station is, corner of Baxter and Broadway. So obviously we have a lot of people hanging out in that area.
Yeah.
So what we've experienced now that we've opened our doors and we have these large garage doors that we open up to the front, is that we are experiencing homeless individuals coming to our bar clearly under the influence, whether they're intoxicated or some other substance, and they want to either come in or use the restroom. And, you know, I'm just like you know, empathy and compassion go a long ways, but I also have my other customers that I have to think about as well. So, I mean, I don't want to turn someone away for wanting to use the restroom. And I just wanted to, what is some language that I can tell my front desk and my staff, because sometimes they're not just going in to use the restroom, they're going in to use whatever they're using. And so I want to protect my customers and my staff, but I also want to be respectful. So could you kind of give me some language on when I see someone like that to turn them away?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I think that's a line that every business has to navigate, because it is a line of like, I mean, we need public restrooms, but we also don't want to like create a space for people to go use. I mean, we can talk about, that's a whole other conversation of like safe needle exchange and safe use spaces. But I mean, I would just clearly have a line and signage. And I think the big thing was that that policy should apply to everybody across the board. So it shouldn't be like somebody who, first, I think the policy should be uniform across the board. So it shouldn't be like exclusive for people that are sleeping out or see people that are homeless. So it shouldn't be like, hey, young white guy who can kind of pass is like, I might be a customer, slips in to use the restroom, versus somebody who is like not as like kept up coming in trying to do it and getting that exclusion, if that makes sense, Gina. I think like posted signage of like for guests or customers only. And I think just like having an alternative ready for them to point them to of like, hey, like we don't allow anybody other than customers to use the restroom, but you can go down here or there. We know that that's a good spot to use the restroom. I would advocate we need public restrooms in general, and that was something that we saw when the pandemic started. Like everybody closed up and there was no place for people to go to the bathroom. So LMPD, they got a couple of porta johns and they positioned them around the city just for people to have a place to go. Let me also ask somebody at staff who might have a better idea of like how to navigate those situations. Another resource I would reach out to for, especially as a new business, and this would be any business, is reach out to some of the outreach teams just to start building that relationship up. So there are kind of two categories of outreach. There are the people that this is their passion project, and they are out there getting the needs that people need the most. just to survive. And then there are outreach teams through St. John's Center and Family Health Centers Phoenix that go out and they do a lot of like the relationship building and trying to get people into housing.
One thing, George, we had a little discussion the other day. In the past, the city did have, or 7 counties had an agreement with some organizations that no longer are doing this, but they would actually send people out to sort of navigate or assist or encourage people to do what you're talking about. Yeah. They actually have a lot of background. I think you said that they're looking at revamping it because it's not being done. Can you give us at least some direction, what they're thinking?
Yeah, I mean, so this is kind of coming out of a lot of the police, over-policing conversations that took place last summer of when is it appropriate to call the police and when is it not? And I've heard from officers, like they don't want to be called for mental health issues. They don't feel prepared. They don't want to be put in that situation. They're not mental health professionals. So I know that the city was looking at a co-responder model. And I don't know where that's at, especially with the new developments with LMPD. But it would be like a mental health professional paired with LMPD to respond to like those like mental health crises that are taking place. It would be, but I don't know where that's at. And then Aaron, I also emailed my contact over at 7 counties just to see what they're doing about that. And I didn't get an answer, but they forwarded me up the poll. So I will update you if I get any clarity of like if they're doing anything.
That was I have tried, it's the same as you, to get a hold of the appropriate container. They do have a unit called Homeless, a unit, but getting information was 0 return. So I'm glad that you got something moving up the chain because they did not have anyone there that would call back.
Yeah, I got to a vice president. So we'll see what that means. There's another web page here that I'm going to highlight. This is from LMPD. This is all of the different information of the different groups that exist and services. The other thing to know, if you have somebody that's looking for a bed, is to call the single point of entry. It is 502-637-2337. And that's a way for people to reserve a bed at one of the shelters. But as I finish,
repeat the number, please.
Oh yeah, so it's 637-2337.
And
yeah.
Okay.
And so that's the single point of entry if somebody wants to reserve a bed to a shelter. And as I'm going to work with Aaron and then a couple other like kind of business coordinators around the city just to develop like a sheet. But, you know, I'd love to hear any kind of feedback of resources that you all need just to navigate these conversations. I'm going to put as I finish up, I'm going to put my contact information in the chat. So feel free to reach out to me if you want to like talk further. I can come out to your business and we can just chit chat for a while. And thank you all for letting me come. And yes, Louis Connect is good. Oh yeah.
I'm Troy with Highlands Community Ministries, and I would just say, you know, there are resources out there. So if you go on your phone right now and put in louisconnect.org, it pulls up a terrific resource that lists all of the shelters, all of the places where you can get food assistance, the places you can get rent and utility assistance. And it's a very easy to navigate tool. And it uses your location. So if you're trying to help somebody find where they can go, you can pull that up on your phone, enable location, and it's very helpful.
Yeah.
The point of entry is great, but you have to call right at 10 o'clock in the morning because it will be full by 11 or 11:30. And people don't realize this, but once someone has a bed at a shelter, their bed is kept until they don't show up again. So if they have a bed at the Salvation Army, it's their bed until they don't show up for that bed. So they don't have to call every single day. They just have to show up every single day at 5 o'clock. the community ministries work with housed individuals. We do help people with food assistance if they're homeless. And we also do a lot of referral and sending people to where they need to go and working with the coalition, which is amazing. But I would just say, you know, that the Highlands is a very compassionate neighborhood, and it's also a safe neighborhood. So if you are choosing to be unsheltered because you don't want to go into a shelter, the Highlands is a good place to be. And that's because we're nice people and we're compassionate. So some of this we create ourselves, and I'm not thinking that's necessarily a bad thing, but if you have people who get aggressive or combative, or they're obviously under the influence, I mean, sometimes we do have to notify authorities, or you know, because you don't want to confront these people on your own. So unfortunately, we don't want to call the police, but sometimes we have to, because it's not safe for us as individuals or our staff to deal with people. But I mean, I can tell you the community ministries alone have distributed over $5 million in rental and utility assistance to housed individuals. StopMyEviction.org was in place up until the end of the year to help people not get evicted. But once someone becomes unhoused, it's very difficult for them to get back into housing. And sometimes it's difficult for them to really even get into the shelters. So, I mean, compassion is key, but it's really such a bigger issue than George and I can solve. You know, so.
And we don't have family shelter. Like there are like under 60 family shelter spots in the county. So a lot of the shelter are for individuals, but that's like a big gap. So like keeping somebody in a house is much more like easier than trying to rehouse them. But yeah, and I think reaching out to Jessica Morrison, she's part of the new homeless outreach division with LMPD would be good. And I know Cassie has her contact information, and I can get it to you also, Aaron. So, but Amy is going to pull me off the screen, and she's going to mute me or kick me out. So I appreciate you. I'm going to put my contact information in the chat, and thank you all.
Thank you, George. Was there any other question before we sign off on that? Did anyone have a question for George? Well, I think it's my hope that we can reestablish a process like we had before the pandemic. And the metro system, along with 7 counties, and the police had an agreement of working with the homeless that was a little bit more, if they were distressed, you had a phone call, they would send a counselor on site. So it sounds like they're going to recreate or reestablish a program similar to that. That's what we'll be lobbying for that. How's that? All right. Due to, once again, always interesting how these, our guest speaker had a business emergency preventing him from being a guest speaker today. But due to a wonderful act of kindness, Rhonda, I know you weren't expecting this, but she was the person responsible for getting us a dumpster for the area pickup, and that's Anytime Waste Systems. And I'd greatly appreciate, we had a wonderful conversation about how she got to where she is today. And if you would, how about a little shout out and a little overview of your business?
Aaron, that is so nice. Thank you. I work for Anytime Waste. We are the only privately held garbage company in the Louisville area. As I say, if you're from Louisville, this means something to you because, of course, the owner of my company graduated from Atherton High School. So I'm actually from Mount Washington, but I live in the Highlands, and I love the Highlands. But yeah, we were glad to participate on Saturday with the dumpster, and am glad that we ended up leaving it there on Sunday so that people could get some stuff in there too. So it ended up being.
That's sort of an understatement for those that do. I was on site. I saw how it was used for many things, but it had trash. It did have trash.
It did have trash in it. So, but thanks. I really appreciate that. So we're, we belong to LEBA about doing, working with local companies. And so between the Highland Commerce Guild and LEBA, we're all local. And so, but thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, I know that you say you want everyone to be, so tell us what a typical person calling you would be asking you to do.
All right, so I've been in the garbage business. I'm sorry to date myself for 30 plus years, but I'm usually the person that gets the call of, I have blah, 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 and I need to get rid of it. How do I get rid of it? I'm that person that you call for that. But we have a lot of the businesses that we have in the Highlands, they have space problems because we don't have a lot of parking. We don't have, and all the dumpsters are in the alley. And so I work with people to get them their dumpsters. So we, the alley behind like Idea and Baxter and Molly Malone's and all that, those require a little bit of creativity to get service to those folks because it's such a tight area. So, but if you've got garbage, I'm going to figure you out. And then we also, the good thing we have is lock bars. So if people feel like ever since the pandemic started, we've had a lot of illegal dumping going on. So we're trying to figure out how to help our businesses not pay for other people's trash. And so what we do is we put lock bars on the containers for them.
Okay, good. And if someone just has a trash emergency, the best number to reach you by?
Would be my cell phone number, 502-649-2574. And that's my cell phone number. And I pretty much answer it all the time, even on the weekends, because usually when somebody has something go wrong, I had a customer about a month ago, they had a small container, and Gina can relate to, I know Gina Nobles will relate to this. And somebody came and dumped a bunch of tires on them. And then they got in trouble by the city because then they were going to have mosquitoes and all that stuff. And so I got the call probably about 9:30 in the morning. By 2 o'clock, I had it completely cleared out. I mean, it cost money, but I had it cleared out.
And your phone number one more time.
502-649-2574.
I can hear a Mr. Gaddy's jingle out of that.
Yeah, my phone somebody just sent me a text. So 502-649-2574, and I'll take care of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
In giving the comings and goings of Derby, I hope that everyone has some exciting plans, whether it's to stay home or get out there and get with it. But we're entering a good time of shameless promotions. And if you have an event coming up, now's the time to tell us about it. Now, I know someone's got some event coming up.
We definitely have an event coming up. PG&J's Dog Park Bar, we're having our very first Kentucky Furby. So we'll do racing with dogs and kind of do an obstacle course to raise money for the organizations that we support. And whoever has the best time will win.
What does that race look like?
There'll be an obstacle course out in the play yard. We have some agility equipment that was donated to us by Pet Suites of America. And we have some bourbon barrels as well. So we're going to create an obstacle course that the owner and dog can join in together and try to get their dog to run through. And it will be a timed event as well. So instead of the best 2 minutes, it will be the shortest time possible.
Wonderful. But now, maybe step back just a little bit, say your business name, and let people know what you do. Not everybody, I know what you're up to, but not everybody in our crowd is familiar with your new location.
Absolutely. So we are PG&J's Dog Park Bar. We are a unique spot where you can socialize with friends, both two-legged and four. And we also, every dollar spent with us, we donate a portion of that to 5 rescue organizations, which we support in order to save lives and try to rescue as many pups that need saving.
Wonderful. All right. Who else has got some exciting thoughts?
Hey, Aaron.
Okay, Tim.
All right. Well, you know, I'm in a school, so we're always kind of the reverse of shameless self-promotions. We're always asking. But we are having a second trivia night, which will be open to families and even the public, and silent auction with our PTA. So as we start to open our communities back up and get the word out about what's available, whether it's coffee shops or dog parks or what have you, if you're so inclined to offer some sort of coupon or donation or item or what have you, we'd love to give you some publicity in exchange for that with all of our families and guests at our trivia night happening in about 2 weeks, the middle of May. So I'm going to shoot my email out to everybody, and anything you'd like to offer, we'd love to promote your business and build community. Whether that's, you know, Rhonda's Dumpsters or maybe a dog park visit. I don't know what's available, but we can be creative and we'll be very grateful for anything and everything. There you go. Thanks.
Get a hold of you. The best number is?
I'm going to put it in the chat right now.
Well, for us visually impaired.
Oh, okay. 313-4472.
Great. All right.
There you go.
Hey, it's Troy. I put a couple of things in the chat. We are sponsoring a lunch series over Zoom with Guthrie Graves Fitzsimmons, who's a local author who has a book out called Just Faith, Reclaiming Progressive Christianity. So kind of fits in with our Highlands Community Ministries work with our 20 congregations. And so if you want to join that, it's free. It's at noon on Tuesdays, May the 4th, 11th, and 18th. I mean, you wouldn't have to go to all of them. Just, you know, if you're interested, that's great. We're also going to resurrect the Summer Sampler series this year. Last year, of course, we canceled due to the pandemic. But this year, we're teaming up with the Louisville Historical League, and we're going to have open houses at 9 different congregations. And so that information will be on our website soon. Those will be the first 3, I think it's the first 3 Sundays in June from like 2 to 4. And people will be able to go in and look around the different historic and interesting buildings that our congregations have here in the Highlands. And then I have a little sad news. Highland United Methodist Church at the corner of Patterson and Cherokee held their final worship service this past Sunday. So as a congregation, they are closing, and the United Methodists will be determining the future of that facility. So it's kind of sad. Actually, it's not kind of sad, it's very sad. So, but I've worked with several other congregations as they've closed, moved, or whatever, and I'll continue to work with them as well.
Why did they close?
Because they didn't have the membership to sustain the congregation.
Okay.
Anyone else that's got little activity coming up? Well, I cannot thank you all enough. Now, the one thing is we do have, and I will let Nick Morris. Are you in there, Nick?
I'm in here, yes.
Yes. Well, Nick's got some exciting news.
Can you give me a clue there, Aaron?
Yes, we have to have a drawing for a gift card
Okay. Yeah, one of our guests this morning was to be Brian Goodwin. He is in the process of opening a business in Deer Park, the Deer Park Shops, called Darlings. It's kind of a unique cocktail bar, and it'll be a kind of a new concept for the Highlands. But unfortunately, he was unable to make it this morning. But he has offered a $25 gift certificate. So I can throw out a number. Amy, have you numbered or Aaron, have you numbered the participants today?
I have actually done this. Excitement runs over my body. So we need somebody who is absolutely so far removed that they have to pick a number between 1 and 18. I think I'm right about this. So who will be our likely contestant? All right, Tim, I can see you. You're excited.
Yes, I am, Aaron.
Number. And again, if we call your number, I will not exclude you because we have no prior agreement.
We do not. That's right. All right, between 1 and 18, let's go with, let's go lucky 13.
Well, today, that is Nick Morris. Congratulations, Nick.
Hey, the luck of the draw.
A round of applause for Nick.
All right.
I hope I'm not that lucky on Derby Day.
Right. That was your luck. I'm sorry, man. That's it for me.
All right.
Aaron, will you tell me the name of the new business again?
Are you talking about
the guy that you just drew the card for? The new business, a bar?
Yes, I can tell you. It's Darlings. It's DARLING''S. Darlings.
Okay. You said it was Deer Park.
In the Deer Park Shops, yes.
And who's the owner?
Brian Goodwin.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, unless someone is holding back they just cannot barely have to wait to the very last. I cannot, once again, with great gratitude, welcome you all to keep joining us. I have agreed to work with getting maybe a better approach and working with the homeless and the businesses. And we at one time had a system that was decent. So I will be advocating these different support services to try to find out if a business is in, I guess, a situation, other than calling the police, is there an optional contact organization? So please keep your cards and letters coming. Any topics that you hear about, again, this issue came up a couple of years ago. It's coming up again. So we will find the resources to get the information to you. So happy Derbies, stay safe. And by all means, reach out and we will find information for you. Thank you all for being here. Good to see you guys again.
Bye-bye, everybody.